Many thanks for choosing us. Now, auditing firm KPMG has revealed in its report on the controversial revenue assurance contract between GRA and SML that the contract for the upstream petroleum and minerals audit did not have a needs assessment back in the contract in the first place. It also says the contract did not meet existing legal requirements as it did not receive parliamentary approval. These are contained in the full KPMG report released by the president weeks after a section of Ghanaians, including civil society, insisted the many infractions in the contract demanded that the full report be made public. My colleague Kpebu Asante has joined me in the studio with that report. Kpebu, first, what does the report also say about the need for such a service by SML?
Well, Aisha, we know that it's been weeks since Occupy civil societies have been making a lot of noise about this SML deal, demanding that President Akufo-Addo releases that report. We know that the Media Foundation for West Africa, which Ford Estate organized this investigation, wrote an RTI request to the presidency demanding the release of the report. The president at the time cited some exemptions under the RTI law and declined to provide that. Later, or subsequent to this, the presidency indicated that the president, in the interest of transparency, will be releasing this report, and that report has been released since yesterday. And if you look at some of the key findings in it, like you said, the needs-based assessment. For a state organization to spend billions and millions of cedis on a project, there must first be the needs assessment. That is, do we need this, or are other state agencies already doing this? According to this full KPMG report, that was not done. It appears some persons at GRA just decided that because of certain key fluctuations in the system, they wanted this deal without any needs-based assessment. And if you go through the report, let me take you to page 14, where it talks about GRA breaching Act 663 for engaging SML without PPA approval. We know that initially, SML was called SMEL. And when GRA wanted to enter this contract with SML, they went to the PPA board 3 times. PPA declined on all these 3 occasions to give approval because they said SML did not have the track record and the capacity to engage in that multi-billion city agreement. So GRA decided to find a way to beat this system. They subletted this contract to SML under an originating contract in the system, and then when West Blue left the system, then they just gave them the contract still without PPA approval, and that is contained in this full KPMG report that has since been published, Aisha. There's also the question about parliamentary approval, and page 15 of the executive summary of this KPMG report also details that. At page 15, they talk about how multi-year commitment, that is contracts that will span more than a year, ought to go to the Parliament of Ghana for approval because of the financial commitments of same. And in fact, it is one of the reasons that the minority in Parliament have been raising in railing against this deal. And so, again, in breach of Act 663 and the Constitution of Ghana, this KPMG report says that that report should have gone to Parliament for approval first. And then the GRA board itself, in a contract signed in 2018 and 2019, did not deliberate on this at all, except the contract signed in 2023. But GRA offered some explanation by saying that it is because the board itself had decided that any contract that does not exceed 4 million Ghana cedis should not come to the board. And I shall conclude, let me give you a few highlights in this report. The presidency's white paper that came out claimed that SML had been paid 1 billion Ghana cedis for all the work they've been doing. But from this report, it has come public that SML has actually been paid 1.4 billion Ghana cedi, and that is why people like Manasseh are raising questions that what accounts for the 400 million Ghana cedi that the presidency omitted? Is it because of certain tax issues or not? And then SML itself, for the work it did, was not paying taxes to the state. And in fact, if you look at the KPMG report, it still says that SML has not been paying taxes on these amounts that have been paid in earnings, amounting to 31.88 million Ghana cedis.
Go ahead.
So with all this, the recommendation from KPMG now is that that deal must go to Parliament for ratification. There must also be the need assessment done on this report, and then ultimately the government would have to decide along the line what it wants to do with this. Aisha.
Kpebu Asante with those details, and thankfully I've been joined by Martin Kpebu, who is a private legal practitioner. Mr. Kpebu, you've been one of the people asking for this report to be made public. It's been made public now. What next? Kindly unmute for me, Mr. Kpebu.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Mr. Kpebu, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, Mr. Kpebu, I'm asking that you were one of the people who asked that the president makes the report public. Now the president has made the report public. What next?
Yeah, so now we are reading through, trying to digest it more and to see how we can possibly ask for the termination of the contract, which is very clear actually, and then prosecution of SML officials and the Minister for Finance and his people, Furiata and his people, for causing financial loss. Because I've seen parts of the reports, the ones that are showing that SML didn't deliver. So we need to now quantify how much we lost and to hold Oforiata and the other persons involved for this loss. And also, let's not forget, we need to terminate this agreement because, you see, Aisha, you know it very well. In law, when an agreement is void, no, the Supreme Court has made it clear that when an agreement like that is void, public agencies shouldn't pay money. Because if the Supreme Court, and I'm talking about the Martinamidu versus Waterville and Woyome, etc., Isofotone and all those companies, because the Supreme Court is saying that, hey, if they don't put in that policy, public officers can collude and enter into illegal contracts and pay, and then say, oh, but the people have worked. So let's go a bit further to explain. So under general contract law, sometimes an agreement can be void, but once you've worked, you'll be paid for, because it's unfair to say that somebody has worked, but just because the paperwork is not good, then you say you want to take the work for free. The locus classicus on this subject is the case of City and Country Waste Limited versus AMA. That is this man, the NDC financier, Eddie Annan. So Eddie Annan's company did some waste collection and disposal, like what Zoom Lion did. Long story short, the agreements were void. The Supreme Court said, oh, they've worked, waste collection, blah, blah, they'll pay. So pay. And then the Supreme Court said in that case that they will deal with such illegal contracts case by case basis. But fast forward, from City and Country Waste, you come to Martinamidu versus Waterville, Woyome, and then the Isofotone cases. And the Supreme Court is saying that, hey, listen, if we keep saying, if somebody is worked, let's pay, then what the public officers will do is they'll just get together and do the illegal thing, knowing that, oh, even if you talk, you will say, but the person has worked, pay. So in the Woyome case, you see that the Supreme Court ordered a recovery of the money. So in this same way, in this SML case, we should cancel it and order a recovery of the money. That's what we should do. Oforiata knew this. We have to hold this man responsible. I don't know why we just sat down as a country and allowed the Kufuor and his brother to just run this country aground. They'll put their hands in every deal to just make their family rich. I mean, this is not Satan. A Kufuor who promised that he will not do family and friends. You put your brother in charge of Ministry of Finance and look at the kind of contracts he was approving and even extending. Did you see the letter he instructed the chief of the cabinet to write? And even extended the contract, this SML deal, to the upstream petroleum industry, so that cumulatively they'll be getting about $100 million dollars a year. Can you imagine? Why? For what work done? So this case is tilting towards quantifying the figures, what we've lost.
What do you make of KPMG's recommendation that they should seek for parliamentary approval?
No, it's neither here nor there. Don't forget, KPMG is not that independent. KPMG does business with government. So they've been very soft. Look, Aisha, if you want to know how KPMG have played it very soft, look, it beggars belief that KPMG did not interview Manasseh. Manasseh, who originated this, you go to page 199 of the report, KPMG say, oh, they interviewed people in the industry to get insights. Look, we're interviewed teams. Look at it here. It says, as part of our assessment on the performance of the contracts and transactions, blah, 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 let me just come. KPMG engaged in interviews with a broad spectrum of stakeholders within the petroleum and mining sectors, blah, blah, blah. Manasseh, who originated this, you don't talk to Manasseh, you are talking to other people. I'm telling you, KPMG, we said it from day one, that they will play very soft because they have sweet deals with the government. Manasseh made an RTR request, the forfeit state. They wanted to find out these contracts. Hey, government refused because they know that if they reveal it, we'll say, oh, you know, it will be so surprising. So government refused, rejected that thing. I hope Manasseh will, a forfeit state will escalate it and eventually go to court. The RTA commission, if the commission makes a determination, MG from the one was never going to open the lid
so for
widely.
you, terminating the contract would be the ideal thing to do. Mr. Kpebu, are you still there with me? I'm asking if what you feel will be satisfactory is just the termination of the contract.
That and also and all his lieutenants who helped him to orchestrate.
Right, I think we lost Martin Kpebu there, but he made the point, and he says that it's marks of corruption, and he feels that it must be terminated. Well, lead investigator at the Fourth Estate, Manasseh Azuriah-Winnie, has also been responding to this.
SSNIT also claims to be curtailing these losses or curbing these anomalies. We confront SML, and if you look at the documentary, it is there. We are not making a claim. SML openly said they were not providing these services. So it isn't only one company that is working. Besides, there are officials of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority at every depot working day and night to save the losses of the past. So what this report has failed to say and cannot say is how SML kept these or helped to improve revenue. When even the measurement SML takes, those measurements are not used for tax purposes. So the question we should be asking KPMG is, how can you attribute the growth to SML? Because there are many companies that are doing these services. And the question, a simple question I have not heard SML answer, is whether they are checking diversion, whether they are checking dilution, whether they are checking under declaration or under reporting. We are losing revenue through these anomalies. The company that is being credited with the success is not performing any of these. So what problem is SML solving? Together with the GRA officials, we were at SML. And the GRA officials said that these figures SML churns out from these readings are problematic. Why are they problematic? That SML's meters record inter-depot transfer, so that if Joy FM is one depot that has another branch called Adom FM, your petroleum product at Joy FM may run out and you need product from Adom FM to supply. SML's meters does or do not discriminate between the ones that you sell to the public, and that is only the taxable volumes. SML's meters also record the one that you transfer from your sister depot to your own depot.
The Manasseh Azuria-Wune, who is lead investigator at the Fourth Estate, in fact, they wrote through the RTI Commission to demand the report be released. Now, let's get on to other stories. Co-chair of the Ghana Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, Dr. Steve Manteo, says Ghana's oil fields are peaking, leading to a decline in crude oil production. The country is said to have produced half of Jubilee fields, a third of 10, and about a tenth of Sankofa Jinyame. And Dr. Manteo says if we do not add to our reserves in a matter of 10 to 15 years, we will have no oil industry. His warning follows a PIAC report indicating that crude oil production in Ghana declined for the fourth consecutive year in 2023. Listen to technical manager at PIAC.
There are two main reasons. One, operational issues. Jubilee started production in November, December 2010, and it is 12, 13 years into its production life. It's projected that Jubilee has a lifespan of, say, 25 years. It used to be 30 years, now it's about 25 years. Now it's more like halfway through its production life. So you naturally expect that Jubilee will decline because reservoir pressure is being depleted. So they have to kind of adopt artificial measures, either gas injection, water injection, and the likes to bring on stream more oil. 10 is basically, it started just recently. 10 is basically technical challenges. In fact, in 2023, the operators, that's Talo, actually reported to PIA that basically is due to technical challenges which they are working around the clock to address. Now, Sankofa Jinyame is predominantly a gas field. Oil is associated with the gas. So you produce more gas than oil. So it is usually expected that oil production from Sankofa Jinyame will be lower than 10 and Jubilee. So that is the operational challenges. Now, when it comes to the regulatory, more or less, and the governance challenges, it looks like we've not learned much lessons from the first licensing round. PIAC, in collaboration with CSOs in the space, actually brought out a paper after monitoring the whole process that there are one or two issues that led to the unsuccessful nature of the bidding rounds. One was that the data represented was of low quality data, 2D data, where industry players, if they acquire that data, they have to spend extra money to process that data, bring it up to either 3D or 4D. So they shied away from that. The second one was that the sizes of blocks offered were very small. In fact, super majors, so in the industry, when we say super majors, we are talking about Shell, ExxonMobil, BP, Chevron, Total. These are the super majors. So they actually say that, look, the sizes of blocks given to them are very small because we are talking of ultra deep waters. You know, we start with salt pond field, which was shallow water, then we move to deep water, and then now we are in ultra deep water. So they were saying that, look, the sizes of blocks are very small. Should increase the sizes of blocks so their investment will be worthwhile. We did not pay attention to this. We've gone on roadshows as a country, led by the Energy Ministry. We've gone to South Africa, we've gone to Norway, we've gone to OTC in Houston with the same kind of data, with the same kind of block sizes. Definitely, and with this energy transition on our neck, you will likely not be able to attract the right kind of investment into the space. So, since 2018, we have not signed any new petroleum agreement. In fact, 4 companies have their petroleum agreements have been abrogated or terminated over that period.
Sound. Meanwhile, the Minister for Information, Fatimata Abu, right, I beg your pardon, Dr. Steve Manteo has been saying that Ghana National Petroleum corporations, GNPC's efforts to attract investors, nothing substantial has materialized, adding, if we had bigger blocks, GNPC would have a better prospect of finding oil in the right quantities that will get them value for money.
Thank you very much, Evans. The trend actually speaks to two things. First is that our oil fields are peaking. And as Mark Ajiman indicated, the last time I checked, we've actually produced about half of Jubilee. We've done about a third of 10 and about a quarter of SGN, Sankofa Jiname. And so if we don't add to our reserves, in a matter of 10 to 15 years, we will have no oil industry. I know GNPC has been making efforts at attracting investments into our oil industry, but the investments have not been forthcoming. Sometimes I feel we are even just throwing money down the drain. They are not coming, the investments are not coming for obvious reasons. First, we had ExxonMobil that exited our oil industry, and their main reason
Police are this morning prosecuting prominent member of the Movement for Change, Hobson Adoye, before court following his arrest yesterday. Mr. Adoye is said to have self-confessed that he detonated dynamite in the Volta region during the 2016 elections. The arrest follows an interview he gave on Accra FM on May 10, where he claimed to have been part of an orchestration to detonate dynamite to scare voters in the stronghold of the NDC to pave way for the NPP to win. Well, this morning he's in the grips of police, and I've been joined by a senior member of the Alan Tremantin's Movement for Change for more. I'm grateful for your time, Nana. What charges have been placed on Mr. Adoye for the arrest?
Well, I wasn't in the court, so I'm yet to get the details. But what I'm told from last night was that it was basically a charge of spreading false information. But we can get that. We can get the specifics of it because the court has just finished its hearing and has granted him bail. I'm told it was held in a Dansoman Circuit Court. So they've just left the court premises to go back to the ministry's police station for the bail procedures to be completed. Hello?
What's the movement's plan of action to get Mr. Adoye out of police custody? I'm grateful for your time, Nano Hininto. There seemed to be a little challenge with the lines, very difficult hearing from Nano Hininto, but he made the point there. We'll be bringing you more of this in our subsequent bulletins. Let's take a break on Joy News Desk. We'll be back with more. News Desk. Let's go back to our earlier story where Hobson Adoye has been arrested. I still have Nano Hininto with me, who is a senior member of Alan Chairman's Movement for Change. Earlier, there was some difficulty hearing you, Nana. I'm praying that it will be better right now. But I'm asking what the plan is for the movement to get Hobson Adoye out of police custody.
Well, as we speak right now, he was processed for court by the police. So he was taken to the Dansuman Circuit Court. The case has been heard and he's just been granted bail. So our lawyers are going with him together with the police back to the ministry's police station to complete the bail procedures. My information is that the charge was publication of false news. That was the charge on which he is being tried. Hello? Hello?
Hearing Nano Hininto once again. Let's move on to other stories. Right, former Director General of SSNIT, Ernest Thompson, is calling on the board of the trust to halt Rock City Hotel's purchase of 60% stake of its owned hotels. His call comes on the heels of mounting opposition to the deal following a push by civil society organizations and North Tong MP Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa to investigate the argument. Mr. Thompson argues the procedure used in the selection of the Agric Minister's company isn't in the best interest of stakeholders.
I think that at this stage, it might be necessary for the SSNIT board to just stop the transactions.
Why?
Because one, the procedure they've used is not the best. You see, SSNIT is a pension fund and it's a long-term investor. It is not a bank holding deposit. So SSNIT investments are analyzed from various perspectives. You just therefore don't exit from SSNIT investments that way.
Well, the Minister for Information, Fatimata Abubakar, is defending the deal, saying it will aid the restructuring of SSNIT and also facilitating its recovery. During a courtesy visit to Multimedia Group Limited yesterday, aimed at engaging the ministry stakeholders and outlining current programs being implemented, the minister urged the public to view the owner of Rock City Hotel not merely as a cabinet member, but as a dedicated Ghanaian investor committed to enhancing these properties and supporting SSNIT's growth.
If there was a decision over 5 years by the fund managers that we want to divest, let us get other people who are able to inject capital so that these facilities are revamped, they are fixed in such a way that they will be competitive and generate more revenue. It's a good thing to do. Most of the successful businesses, when it comes to state-owned interests, you realize that the current trends everywhere is that they are running JVs, joint ventures, bring other people with capital, give them some shares. Also, not just about the money that they inject in, but also the technical capacity. It is not given that if you're a fund manager, you also have expertise in running hotels. So for sustainable models to run, it is also important that you bring people who have experience and who have capacity to run. And it is also interesting that people have forgotten that Rock City is now known as one of the biggest, if not the biggest, hotel facility in the sub-region. If that is the case, the kind of market they are drawing, the goodwill, the branding that they have, the facilities that they have put up, is a testament to the fact that competitively, just as any other hospitality company, they have capacity to bid. if these are open calls published in newspapers for everyone with interest to also come and show interest, and then all of a sudden, because a Ghanaian, irrespective of political parties, a Ghanaian with capacity and with the means to inject capital and take some shares so that he is able to revamp the businesses, upgrade the assets. And in this Accra, especially now that I'm in the ministry organizing conventions and events, you realize that we need huge investments in the hospitality sector. Have we looked at the processes that SSNIT had to go through over the period? Did we have queries? Why were those queries not raised? Is it only because this person is also politically exposed? All of a sudden, his credit score is not taken into consideration. His financial capacity that precedes his political office and even precedes his coming into office as MP. It means nothing. Meaning, so far as you are a business person and you have business interests and investments, if you come into politics to serve the country, all of a sudden you don't qualify to participate in any sector. If we run such models and such commentaries, there is a temptation that the most qualified persons in private sector who have capacity to even come into policy making to say we are coming to make a difference in government will say, you know what, I have enough money, I have enough businesses, let me take care of my business interests and not think about coming to solve any problems in the country. Because he has become a cabinet minister, the portfolio affects his work retrospectively, and all other business interests and engagements that he has must cease. Let us look at it again.
The Fatima to Abubakar. Now, welders and seamstresses in Kumasi continue to bear the brunt of the erratic power supply, as many of these small business operators find themselves idle on a daily basis. The Ashanti regional capital has in recent days witnessed a return to constant power cuts, with some parts of the city staying out of electricity for close to 6 hours daily. Now, in today's episode of our Doomsor Diaries, Emmanuel Bright Kweku caught up with some workers who are calling for a load management timetable to plan their lives.
Tahiru, a welder at Ija, is busy at work welding a metallic mesh cage he had planned to work on the previous day. But the power situation in the country is biting hard on his daily income.
Around 10, 11, lights or I need to machines,
I had plans to work on the cage yesterday when there was light, but shortly after it went off. I was hoping for it to return in the next hour, but it never did. I am rushing to complete it now.
A few meters away from Tahiru's shop, his colleague Osman is also bearing the brunt of the power outage.
I cannot work without electricity. I have been idle almost the entire day. I have apprentices working under me. How do I pay them if there is no work to do?
The Ashanti region has in recent days returned to unbearable intermittent power cuts, throwing many businesses and households into a state of dormancy. Like the welders, seamstresses along the Alhaji Atta lane at Ija are not exempted from the power crisis. This embroidery shop on the stretch has their owners idling as they wait eagerly for power to return.
Inflation is skyrocketing. At last, if we had light, we would work to get some money to fend for ourselves.
Tuesday, and then I have a young for the extras. Kakama Baja Conso. That's about send a million kind. Ayana Asia.
The government isn't helping at all. What is annoying is the fact that we have to pay for electricity bills.
These apprentice and master are not spared the pressures from their customers as they must meet deadlines for sewing dresses.
Anyone in Tino me Because there isn't light, we cannot iron the sewn dresses. My master is always pleading with the customers.
While the government claims to be conducting maintenance at the energy sector, these workers are calling for a load management table.
They should admit it's doom so. They should just give us a schedule to plan our lives. They should tell us the truth. This is doom so.
I'll be able to plan my life if given the schedule. I won't waste my money and time to come here and idle about.
For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kpebu.
New Patriotic Party in the Nkranza South constituency is alleging that its parliamentary candidate for the 2024 post, Harriet Opong, was assaulted by the NDC thugs during her monitoring of the ongoing limited voter registration exercise. Constituency Secretary of the party, Isaac Afumchum, at a press briefing in Nkranza, claims the actions of the opposition NDC, fueled by the MP of the area, is fast becoming a trademark of the party and an attempt to discourage potential registrants to participate in the upcoming elections. He has called on the police to act swiftly to prevent any further violence in the area. Anna Sabit has more.
The alleged incident was said to have occurred when the 2024 parliamentary candidate for the New Patriotic Party in the Nkranza South constituency, Ms. Harriet Opong, visited the premises of the Electoral Commission to monitor the ongoing limited voter registration exercise. Constituency Secretary of the party, who addressed the press, Afumchum Isaac, said NDC thugs who were equally at the scene without provocations held insults at the driver of the parliamentary candidate and threatened to beat him before attacking the candidate herself.
On that said day, our parliamentary candidate, Madam Harriet Opong, visited the EC premises to observe the ongoing exercise and offer support and encouragement to these young people within the community who have decided to perform their civic responsibility of registering as voters. Not long after she had arrived at the canopy where the MPP team had gathered, some members of the NDC, without any provocation, started hurling abuses at her driver and went further to threaten to beat him. Before one could ask what the issues were, the entire NDC leadership, with the machetes and axe, wildly high tax rise to the MPP area, pushed the candidate who almost failed, but for the timely intervention of the people gathered, she was picked away to safety.
The MPP says the attack by the NDC thugs is fast becoming a trademark of the party, with the Member of Parliament for the area, Emmanuel Ajikuma, alleged to have acted in similar manner during the 2016 registration exercises. A move the party says is an attempt to discourage potential registrants from participating in the exercise.
We wish to put on record that what happened on Saturday is just one of the several incidents that have happened since the registration exercise began. There have been countless attacks on our people. This tactic seems to be the stock in trade of our Member of Parliament in the person of Emmanuel Ajikuma, as we witnessed same in 2016 during voter registration exercise.
And that's how we wrap up the bulletin this morning. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjournline.com for more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. See you again at 12.